Secrets are like walls. You can't really know someone with walls between you.
This should all be over.
It's too late.
What do we do now?
Tell your father. Tell your father everything.
Oh, don't you just love it when you get a promo like that for The Flash? That is exactly what I'm on about, and like I said it before, like the trailer breakdown for this week's episode, that this part of the season is probably where shit gets real, because we're closing in on the Cicada storyline. I mean, obviously we're basically at the end of the season, kinda. We're getting closer to Thorn, we got Godspeed, and that trailer, guys, not that there's a shite ton to talk about, but you can be sure I'm going to speculate the living F out of what we saw in that video today. I mean, there's some stuff, how many times are we going to say some, that I feel is pretty concrete. We'll get to that in a second. But the other stuff like Sherlock sitting in Welzabard's chair and things like that, that is, oh man, I just love stuff like this. I love promos like this. So, you know, before we get into this, guys, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Flash updates just like this, as always. And I'd really appreciate it if you go on to enjoy this video just even a little bit. Hit that thumbs up button. Really does help me out, and I appreciate it so much. Really does mean a lot to me. So before we get into that breakdown, let's read out the synopsis like we usually do. Thankfully there is one this week. There is no promo photos, unfortunately, as of when I'm making this video, but let's continue with the synopsis and then get into the nitty gritty details of this trailer. Nora decides to tell Barry and Iris the truth about Thorn. So Team Flash finds out that a suburban mum named Vicky Boland is in danger, and they race to save her. On meeting her, they discover she's a metahuman who is hiding her abilities from her family. Barry encourages Vicky to share her secret with her family, which makes Nora realize that she needs to come clean with her parents about Thorn. So the interesting thing about this is that synopsis makes it sound like, maybe like, because this girl will probably end up coming out to her family that she's a metahuman, that, oh, I should probably tell mum and dad about Thorn now. Whereas the trailer literally shows Eobard Thornius telling Nora to tell your father everything. So I think it's going to be a mix and match of both of them. The timing is in the episode, where is that Eobard clip in the trailer that we saw where he's like, you know, tell your father everything. At what point in the episode is that? It might be after the whole, like, you know, filler story. It's not filler story, but, you know, with the trailer for that next week's episode that we just watched, it doesn't look like they're going to be tackling like a middle storyline, but they are. Maybe it won't be full focus, but maybe after that happens, Nora's going to race to the future, because we're also going to get some Grace Cicada, you know, Grace Cicada, I can't remember what I nicknamed her in my review. We're going to get some of that stuff in this episode from the looks of the trailer. So maybe I predict after the storyline with the family and seeing that girl do, you know, the brave thing that Nora hasn't done yet by confessing, and then a bit of Cicada stuff. She runs to the future maybe to get help from Eobard, saying, what are we going to do now? What, you know, everything's different, because this isn't what they expected. Everything's screwed up. They had one time to, you know, stop Cicada, but then future Grace birthed something that didn't even happen in Eobard's original timeline, where he confessed in the last episode, you know, or at least just told us that, you know, he knows every nook and cranny. The Reverse Flash is like the professor of timelines. He knows, you know, he knows everything, but except for this new one that's now coming about. So that's when Eobard's probably like, I don't know what to do. Nora, at this point, you know, I've helped you in everything I could with, you know, getting to spend time with your father, to stop Cicada from, you know, disappearing, but I mean, you cured him, but now Grace is involved and has come back to present day. So I know I'm kind of analyzing the ending of the trailer right now, but I guess that's the hot topic of like the trailer. Is like, why does Eobard say Nora to tell her father everything? I think it's because maybe he wants, at this point, the Flash's help. Maybe this sets up the Godspeed episode, because this is episode 17. Episode 18 is titled Godspeed. We know that in that episode, from behind the scenes footage stuff, if I remember correctly, this is just, if you haven't watched my update videos, definitely check them out. But in one of the update videos covering Godspeed, we went over what I believe the Mascara Bound on Twitter said. You know, she caught some footage of Nora basically begging Barry not to do something. It's like, please don't do this. I can't remember the exact line, but they're like talking about Thorn as well, and Barry just races off. And that whole episode is more or less set in 2049. So it would be interesting if Barry, after all of this, you kind of see where I'm going with this, maybe he works with Thorn reluctantly or something, and a part of Thorn getting out before that timer runs out, as we see in this trailer, is 11 minutes something now, is through the help of Barry. Maybe that would be pretty cool. I think I mentioned this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. It's like, what if the Reverse Flash is a man of his word, helps Nora, little did we know Barry, maybe it is Barry, help defeat Cicada, or Grace Cicada version 2.0, and then, you know, the Reverse Flash disappears to come back another day again, but probably not anytime soon. That would be a pretty interesting story for the end of this season. So like, we would have Godspeed and more development in episode 18, but maybe by the time, you know, Barry obviously knows about everything this episode and it carries on in the Godspeed episode, he might need Reverse Flash's help to stop somebody as overpowered as, you know, Cicada 2.0, which is Griselda. I'm just going to call her Griselda, okay? Griselda is the name. But I know I went off analyzing the end of the trailer there, but now let's actually talk about the beginning of it. So right here, we see the time sphere, guys. We see, I believe that Cisco approaching it there, but, you know, we see more or less Team Flash there with Sherlock, Cisco, Barry, Nora there. So what is this time sphere being used for? Well, I could only think of one thing. How did Grace come back to present day without being a speedster? Must have been this time sphere. Now, if you remember, Eobard was using this to get back to his time in season 1. I really can't remember for the life of me if it's been used since then, but that's not so important. Like, this is a time traveling device for those, you know, who can time travel without having to rely on the abilities of being a speedster. So they're probably like in the woods, they're armed. They're obviously, because they don't know if Grace is there, you know, it's like, oh crap, so this is obviously where it landed. I can imagine something in the episode being like, oh, our satellites have picked up, or, you know, tracking Grace's blah, blah, blah. This is where she originated from. They go and investigate, and oh, lo and behold, there's the time sphere. Now, another bit I've been dying to talk about in this trailer breakdown is what we're seeing right here with Sherlock Wells. Yes, that is Sherlock Wells. In it looks like this boxed up area of Star Labs. You see little crates there of Star Labs stickers on it. And what else do we see there? We see Eobard Thorne's, or Wellsabard, shall I say, you know, a wheelchair. And we also see that Sherlock is wearing, I'm pretty sure that this is the case, Wellsabard's glasses as well. So my theory for this is, what is going on so far? We know that Sherlock is getting so close to Nora, right? He's even basically baiting her out, saying things out in the open as of last episode, like, oh, the timeline is so malleable, right? It totally went over Nora's head, but, you know, Sherlock's getting pretty OP with, and overconfident, shall we say, with the amount of leverage and shit he's got, you know, in his gun, so to speak, ready to load up and fire at Nora. And what I think he's trying to do here is understand maybe a bit more about the guy he's pursuing. Well, maybe it, you know, and what I'm on about there is Eobard, but through Nora. So maybe he wants to understand him a bit better. And as I said, maybe he wants to get into the groove of maybe understanding why they have this relationship. What is Eobard getting out of this? Or maybe just trying to understand his suspect a bit more, basically, bottom line. So he gets into his wheelchair, he puts on his glasses. Maybe at this point, does Sherlock know that he shares the face? I'm pretty sure by now, maybe behind the scenes, he would know that, oh, Eobard Thorne took the Wells of Earth 1's face. Maybe that would be the case, so maybe he feels like he could get into his groove as of what I'm saying. But the interesting thing as well is that he pops open that little panel on the side of his chair. Now, I can't remember exactly what this is used for, but I'm pretty sure that circular part of the chair, of the panel, is maybe where he puts his reverse flash ring in. I'm pretty sure it activated something. Maybe all it did is activate the, oh man, what did he had? He had that like tachyon, like enhancy kind of thing, charging up himself through his chair the whole time or something. But the fact that they're showing it here, it could mean something. It could mean something helpful. But it could just be him, you know, them showing literally Sherlock, oh, pops open a panel of the chair and, oh, look, I wonder what this was used for, and it makes it look like something when it isn't. But I'm more inclined to believe that maybe it might have some relevancy. But I can't think of what it is right now, so I'd love to know what you guys think. The panel where I think he used a reverse flash ring, as I said, in that little circular bit, could be wrong. But correct me if I am, down in the comments below. Throughout the trailer as well, like Barry's talking about, you never really know someone, like secrets like, you know, secrets like walls, and if you have walls between you, you don't really know them. We see, like Barry looking very shocked at something, and that's really hard to guess what he's looking very shocked at. I'm guessing this is Barry against Griselda, if that makes sense, because we do see Griselda in the trailer. And then here we see, as what we've discussed earlier, like Nora's just like, what do we do? What do we do? When she's talking to Thorne. So she obviously goes to Thorne at some point in the episode. But essentially, I think Nora's just freaking out, saying, you know, it should all be over. Thorne's just like, it's too late. As I always say, this could have been cut from a completely different sentence he's using in terms of what Nora said to him. As I said, they like to do that with trailers, but you know, you could still say that Ibard's saying it's too late now, like what we tried to set out to do. New timeline is here, biatch, so we need to think of something new. Maybe, you know, you should tell your father everything. And that's when we see Nora basically like probably having already said the line, at least like, oh yeah, I've worked with Thorne, and Barry is just reacting there. And my God, it always melts my heart when Grant Gustin, or should I say Barry Allen, gets those teary eyes. It hits me right in the feels, and that is, it's almost sadistic in a way, but like, I look forward to this episode for this drama. You know, I love this stuff, and I can't wait to see Barry's reaction. You know, as I said, from what we have learned from Godspeed, is he's still talking to her. I think it's more of like, I can't understand why you do that. Let me process this information. We're not going to be father and son holding hands, going and getting the ice cream in the park anytime soon. So, but he still does talk to her. But it looks like what he wants to do about Thorne after this, just to give you a bit of insight into the next episode after this one coming up, he's seeming to go off and do something, and Nora's begging him not to, and she promises that she'll never speak to Thorne again. So this looks like it will carry on, and I'm also estimating that this must be the final thing that happens in the episode, and it might drop off on a cliffhanger, then enter episode 18, Godspeed, where they're tackling it even further. But then we also have the awesome storyline of Godspeed coming along, hopefully awesome anyway, and also, you know, directed by Daniel Panabaker. But you know, yeah, this is what I mean, guys. We've got quite a treat ahead of us. I'm deadly excited. Let me know what you thought of everything I discussed about this trailer and next week's episode down in the comments below. I'd love for you guys to expand upon anything I said. I love reading your guys' comments. Let's see if we can crack this together. Love the conversation. But as always, you know, you can talk with me directly in my Discord server. Links to that is in the description below, as well as my Twitter and my other social media. Other places to support me as well, like Boba merch on Teespring, Patreon, you name it. But thank you so much for watching, Speedsters. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.